On today's show, the 2026 NBA draft is going to be very interesting for the entire league and even for the Hawks, with the Pelicans/Bucks pick in the mix. And with that as a backdrop, Brian Schroeder joins me for a two-part discussion about the draft early on in the season, and it's coming up right now.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 2106 of the Locked On Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Wednesday evening into Thursday. And today's podcast is brought to you by the folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. And right now, if you're a new customer, you bet just $5. If your first bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. You can head to FanDuel.com right now to get started. And today, I'll be joined by my good friend, Brian Schroeder, NBA draft expert, to discuss the NBA draft for the first time in real depth since the season began. It's a two-part episode. This is actually beginning part one right now, and stay tuned. Part two will be available in the same podcast feed when part one is finished. But before we get to that, a couple of caveats. So this is an Atlanta Hawks podcast. Obviously, the Hawks have their own pick is actually swapped in complicated fashion to the Spurs. There's a swap with the Cavs. All this stuff. But the headliner about 2026, of course, if you've been under a rock recently, that the Hawks have the unprotected pick from either the New Orleans Pelicans or the Milwaukee Bucks. It will likely, I would say, be the Pelicans pick, but it's the better of the two. So if something happens with the Bucks, they miss the playoffs and then get lucky in the lottery, that means the Hawks get lucky in the lottery as well. So Atlanta is certainly rooting against New Orleans all year long. They're also rooting against Milwaukee, although not quite probably as vociferously as New Orleans, because New Orleans is well down the standings already to begin the season. But I would say a real chance at the Hawks being in the top five or so of the upcoming draft, while also being a good team at the same time. And that's a rare combination that is a lot of fun. I will also say, as a caveat, I talked to Brian earlier this week, so that actually was before a couple of games that happened involving some of the top guys in this draft. So keep that in mind as you listen to this podcast on Wednesday evening into Thursday or beyond. And again, PSA, part two available in the same podcast feed. So without any more delay, we will dive in now. But first, a quick PSA as well. The Hawks play again on Thursday. The injury report is out for the Hawks. Porzingis is questionable. Richache is questionable. Trey is still out. We will see how that all goes, but please stay tuned and subscribe to Locked On Hawks anywhere you get your podcast. I'll be back after the game on Thursday in San Antonio. Without any more delay, here we go with myself and Brian in part one on the NBA draft. I'm joined now by Brian Schroeder. Brian, it's never not NBA draft season, but it's earlier than we would normally do this. But without giving the full dissertation, Hawks fans are excited about this draft because they have the Pelicans/Bucks pick. And this draft is a lot of fun. So we're doing this in November. How are you?
This is great. Well, I'm doing fine. This draft is interesting because we could talk about it, but there's the main three guys that I've been those guys have been, I would say, not finished product, but known quantities for like a year. Peterson, maybe less so in like the mainstream, but people have known who he is. So for me, this has been a really exciting first 3 weeks of draft stuff, really getting in earnest. I try not to let I don't watch as much high school as I used to, so I try to let these guys be a little fresher. But two main reasons. A, there's been a lot more high major games. Like the college basketball making a concerted effort to have, usually the first 2.5, 3 weeks is, you're playing Arkansas Pine Bluff or Georgia. I don't want to say Georgia Southern, not even that bad. Texas A&M Corpus Christi. You're playing the Purdue Fort Waynes of the world. Shout out Mastodons. And there's already been like 9 top 25 matchups. Usually that doesn't start the Champions Classic, which is, as of recording, tomorrow night, is generally the starting point for actual games. And we've had 20 games that have meant something. Even like Xavier, Iowa. It's like, is Iowa actually good? Looks like it. Indiana Marquette. Go IU. We destroyed Marquette. Because I don't think Marquette's great, but like that's a real team.
Yeah.
And then the other reason this has been honestly the most exciting class since I've been doing this since 2018 or maybe 2019 because of Zion and Ja, is that it's not just those big three. This class is just absolutely loaded with freshmen. Like it's crazy how many good freshmen there are.
Yep.
I mean, I easily, and I'm not even watching. I'm watching more than I usually would in November. but I'm only watching 2 or 3 games a night, and I still made a list that went out to in the 30s of freshmen that I already like. And like then I added guys who have like good stats that I haven't seen that much of. But, like that is unusual. And I don't mean like in like that guy might be good, might be a good college player. I mean like that guy could get drafted in the next 3 years. Good. That is
Yeah.
an abnormal amount of freshmen. The guys like we won't get into these guys like the Keaton Wagler at Illinois is starting for a top 10 team and is averaging like 14 a game. He's been awesome. Merkovich at Illinois, like Jai Hines at Seton Hall. There's so many 3-4 like Isaiah Johnson at Colorado was a 3-star who had like 36 in his first game. It's like there's guys coming in and starting and playing big minutes on high major teams that might not only make the tournament but might be ranked at some point. That is unusual, and it's not like the Caleb Wilsons of the world. Like you expect that, but yeah, this class is crazy deep. There's guys that part of it is I know some college coaches aren't fond of it, but this NIL for like guys like Hannes Steinbach or
Yeah.
Tyster Ritter or like all these guys, Neo Avdilas, who we could talk about, guys who were pros overseas last year, but are of college age, coming over and instantly making these teams like playing huge roles for good college teams, and like that is changing the landscape of college basketball. Like this is a really exciting just group. There's always somebody every night that's interesting. It's really fun so far.
Yeah, I mean, I know that most of the casual observers, that's not a shot at anybody. It's just I'm still, I'm closer to that group than I want to be right now. But it's early in the season, like you said. The marketing, or I think it's correct, of the big kind of there being a big three in this draft is like the thing that people just know that there are three guys basically, and so far it seems like those three guys are still the three guys. I mean, and by the way, just to say the names out loud. It's Darryn Peterson at Kansas, AJ Dybantsa at BYU, and Cam Boozer at Duke in some order. Let's just start there for a second.
Probably that order, but I'm not gonna. There's any order of those three guys. I'm really not gonna nitpick on anyone's because I mean Cameron Boozer. I think we could start with him because he had the slightly disappointing game against Texas, which is really funny that he had he was like 5 of 14 for 15 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists. He had like a +4 BPM. We're like, no, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he had kind of a bad first half, and then
he just couldn't hit shots.
Yeah, he was asked about it afterwards and was basically like, "Yeah, I wasn't very good in the first half." It was like, yeah, he wasn't.
Even with that kind of first impression, he has a 21 BPM through 4 games. He's obliterated. He obliterated Indiana State. Like it was.
Yeah,
I mean, it was the first 30-10-5 game at Duke since his dad. The thing with Cam, I think the issue, for those who don't know, he's about this. I mean, he basically is what if Carlos Boozer grew up now? I think he's a little more explosive athlete than his dad, but he's just more of a handler and passer and not a guy who as much plays like 1996 power forward offense.
Right.
The question I think with Cam is like, it's kind of the same question you sort of have with Paolo Banchero. They're similar stylistically in that, like, it's a question we still don't know the answer to. Is Paolo a number one option on a good team? I don't know. Some days he is. And some nights Franz Wagner is better. And that's not a bad thing for the Magic, but it is also sort of a hurdle they have to figure out. But I guess the only real concern I have with Cam is like a top 2 option on an NBA team is that he is what I affectionately would call a claymore shooter. It's a 2K term, where his shot is much, much better, not just spotting up, but if he has a chance to just kind of sit there and wait for 3 or 4 seconds and then catch and shoot. He's really, the way he loads up, how big and wide he is a little bit like AJ Griffin's shot, if Hawks fans remember.
Where he kind of, everybody. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he could shoot. AJ Griffin could.
That's true.
But he did have sort of the wide base, and sometimes not a guy who's running off screens that aggressively. And like, now if you're a 6'9", 250 pound guy who averages 14 rebounds and 4 assists a game, and is a monster in transition, it's not a game breaker, but it would be a way that you would maybe, compared to his peers in this class, it's maybe a slight deficiency as far as like the explosive, I'm going to put 15 points on you in 2 minutes kind of scoring that Peterson and Dybantsa are both. Dybantsa is one of the best finishers I think I've seen since I've been doing this. He's unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, and just to say it's about Boozer, like, I love Boozer. He's the ultimate like winner. The guy has won everything that you could possibly win. I mean, he's
He
so
is,
accomplished.
not to bring this back to 2K, but he might be the only guy since I've been doing this and making the draft classes kind of for my own edification that I would really seriously consider giving a 99 consistency to. He's
I mean,
just like every
it's
single game he plays the same.
it's so funny. Like I was talking to somebody about this offline the other day, and we'll move on because
Offline, wow.
we don't want to go. Yeah, we don't want to go super long on everybody, or else we're running out of time. But I was like, no, I'm not comparing them stylistically, but he feels very Luka to me in that like Luka just won everything, and
Mhm.
he got knocked because he was kind of slow and white guy and all the stuff. Obviously, Boozer's not that, but he's not the athlete that Dybantsa is, for example. And it feels like people are just gonna gotta maybe nitpick Boozer to death for some reason,
Mhm.
even though he's like very obviously going to be good, and it should be very clear that he's going to be good. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have some. I think people may. The only real thing I can see with his production at Duke, people may be like, "Well, Marvin Bagley was productive." It's like, well, Marvin Bagley didn't shoot a single jumper his entire Duke career. He just was the most
Yeah,
athletic guy in college basketball and
right.
ran
Marvin
around.
Bagley was basically just playing center, and that's fine, but that's not. I can see that. I liked Marvin Bagley, to be fair.
And again, Marvin Bagley's still in the NBA, not a bad player. A bust in that he shouldn't have been taken where he was in that draft. But if Marvin Bagley was taken at 8, nobody would care.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but
He would be like, "Yeah, that guy had a solid career."
but yeah, I mean, if Boozer's and look, there's a split, and people keep asking me. I'm glad you already said kind of that it doesn't. Right now, the order is not necessarily the biggest deal. That's a question I
Mhm.
get all the time now because
Mhm.
of the Pelicans pick from Hawks fans. Like, hey, what's your order? I'm like, I don't really have one yet. Let's discuss something that every single business owner knows all too well, and that is missed calls. When a customer tries to reach you and can't get through, that's money slipping away from you, and Quo, spelled Quo, is a smarter way to run your business communications so you can actually never miss an opportunity to get that customer engaged. Quo is the number one business phone system built for 2025, not for 1995. It's simple, it's modern, and it's designed to help you communicate faster, look more professional, and stay connected wherever you happen to be working. I love that Quo works right away from the app on your computer or on your phone. No extra devices and no clunky landlines. Your whole team can share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, which means customers can actually get help faster and more efficiently from you. Plus, their built-in AI is an actual game changer. It logs your calls, it writes summaries, it actually helps you sets up follow meetings automatically if you want to do so. And Quo makes small businesses feel big. Quo also makes big businesses feel efficient at the same time. And it's no wonder over 90,000 businesses are already using Quo right now. You can try Quo for free at quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. And yes, you can even keep your existing number if you want to do so. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Let's be real. Making excuses actually not really solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, or I'm tired, or it just happens to be something that everyone has to go through at some point. When it comes to performance, though, your body sometimes just needs a little bit more of extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You can just connect with a board-certified doctor. It's 100% online with no awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment actually ships directly and discreetly to your door. The process is simple, fast, and private. It's all handled by real doctors as well. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter to you. You can visit Rugiet.com/lockedonnba and 50% off your first order. That's Rugiet, Rugiet.com/lockedonnba. 15% off your first order. And don't forget to use that code. It's LockedOnNBA so they know that we sent you to them. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. I find myself being a little bit lower on Dybantsa than like other people are, but that's not like I'm not low on him. He's obviously a very good prospect.
We could talk about AJ. I think AJ sometimes gets the reputation. This is a little bit nitpicky, I suppose, but I don't want to directly compare him to like the Brandon Miller, Ace Bailey, Cam Reddish kind of archetype, the Paul George archetype. But he's going to get that, and he's also said he like apparently every 6'7" to 6'8" kid models his game after Paul George for some reason.
Yeah,
Paul George is a very good player. He's probably a Hall of Famer. It's just strange, like Brandon Miller saying he was the best player ever. It's like, oh, you 0-time MVP and 0-time champion Paul George, really? Not Kawhi or I don't know LeBron, Carmelo even. Um, but anyway, the thing that I think separates AJ from those guys, both athletically, he's just Ace is a great athlete, but athletically, like his balance and coordination, that his bulk is different.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that really separates him is those guys. I mean, Miller's a good passer, I would say, but those guys got knocked, I think, for like their ability to read defenses and manipulate defenses. Whereas AJ, I think, just intrinsically understands that the best shot a team can get is usually the one he can get. Like
Yeah.
it's not like he's not like he's dribbling around, pulling a Kobe, dribbling around for 18 seconds and pump faking into. He just goes and gets it. He's just like, I'm gonna go score now, and he goes and gets a bucket. Right. And a lot of the time, and he's probably right to think this, even on a pretty decent team like BYU that has a, 25-year-olds for some reason. Don't worry about it. They all want on a mission. But they, I think he understands that like even a slightly contested layup from AJ Dybantsa is a better probability shot than a kick out to Richie Saunders or whoever, and he's probably correct in that. Now that may be an issue in the NBA, but he's such an outlier finisher that I don't know if it will be.
Yeah, I mean his tools alone. I mean he's I don't know what I trust your measurements more than what I would have, but like 6'9".
He might be 6'9". He might be 6'9". Yeah, I could see.
And like
I won't be surprised.
really athletic and strong and he's got the very prototypical big.
Well, it's not just that he's
stuff.
Really athletic. He's done this twice in a game now where he's been going right, kind of got stopped at the nail, went into his pivot, and then reversed pivot and like sprung to his left and had his layup at the rim, like Giannis style. But we're like, he shouldn't be able to get to that layup. It's like Shea. It's the way that I've described it. The way that Shea sometimes unfurls himself like a cobra for a layup. You're like, whoa, hey, you can't do that. AJ can do that. It's why he's the only guy I've ever seen get a Tracy McGrady comparison that I haven't fought back against. Tracy McGrady is my favorite player of all time. And I think is a top 5 unique NBA talent.
I can kind of see it now. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. I can kind of see it. I mean, especially if his shooting comes along.
Yeah, like, the pull-up is just not at the level. But I mean, T-Mac's pull-up at 19. I don't know if he ever.
Well, I was about to say that. I don't know if McGrady was that kind of shooter like coming up. I mean, that was before I was doing this, like same as you. But like he didn't become that kind of shooter, I don't think, until a little bit later. So
AJ is the first pure like slashing wing, like 2, 3, 4, probably since at least Tatum, even though I wasn't a big Tatum guy, or Jalen, who I could legitimately see being like a 26 a game scorer for a long time. Not even I didn't think Andrew Wiggins was that. I thought Andrew Wiggins was more of an explosive. I mean, I also wasn't paying that much attention.
He was more of a do it all. Like,
yeah,
he was not supposed to be a score
number one
first
option.
Yeah, I mean, he was a prototypical like do it all for what everybody wants, and he kind of became like the 85th percentile version of that rather than the 100th percentile version of that. But he wasn't supposed to be a 30-point scorer, like to your point.
Ingram might be the other guy that I was really high on as like, and AJ's just a lot more explosive and faster than Ingram. He's in that level though. Like there's very little doubt to me that he's just going to be just a 22 to 30 per game scorer pretty quickly. Like it's just that guy can like it's he's the worst playmaker of the 3, but that's because the other 2 guys are like outlier good playmakers. And I just think it's so easy for a team like, well, they don't have their pick, but like a team like the Pelicans or like Brooklyn. There's a team that doesn't have, I mean, the Pelicans do have Zion, but I just don't know what's going on with that situation. But a team that just needs a guy to like build their offense around, to be, he's not like Kevin Durant at all, but to be a Kevin Durant style, like the way that he is for Houston, where it's like, this guy's on the floor, we'll be able to get a decent shot.
Yeah.
That's very important in today's NBA. Like you cannot lose the possession battle. You cannot lose the pace battle. In the same way that, like, I mean, look, they're very, very different players, but look at, as great as Pascal Siakam's playing, the Pacers offense is just in the mud. There's just no offense without Halliburton because they just don't have the guy who sets up the offense.
And obviously you're right. And you and I both appreciate Siakam quite a bit. But you're right. He's not that. And I've actually been in one of the maybe knocks on Dybantsa that was kind of out there has been like, is he just a scorer? And I've actually been kind of encouraged with what I've seen about his, like, not necessarily, you're right about him being not the same playmaker as the other two, but he's been a willing passer. Like, he's not
he's not a black hole.
He's not a zero playmaker at all.
He's not a Cam Thomas.
No, you said it, not me. That's not my
favorite. Cam
player.
Thomas says it, and you know what? Credit him.
But like,
no, I mean, I actually kind of respect him for knowing, like, I just get buckets. It's like, he's really good at it. So I'm not going to tell him not to do it.
I'm with you, and I think there's a lot to like about Dybantsa. So I think I probably have him third if you maybe choose the order, but that's not a shot at him. He's a typical number 1 overall pick.
He's a number 1 level talent,
just to have 3 of those in the same class.
24 in 2024, not even close.
I mean,
not even. I think he's been pretty good, and he's not even. He's like several tiers above. Like,
I was going to ask you at some point.
I do have a Ricochet in this draft.
That's kind of expected. I think everyone basically agrees that there are at least 3 guys that would have been the clear number 1 in that Ricochet draft. Maybe we'll get to how many there are later on in this discussion.
I don't even know.
It's a lot. It's probably several. When SKIMS announced they're actually going to make underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about SKIMS for comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick actually whatever's going to be working for them since college, really. The same fits, the same waistbands that roll up, and a whole lot of settling in that area. And SKIMS Men's changes all of that. One upgrade, and it's obvious why everyone has been talking. SKIMS is designed to feel good, fit right, and actually stay put with no slipping, no sagging, no adjusting. It's generally great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. What says it right away is the fit and the fabric, soft, supportive, and comfortable all day. No riding up. And they don't actually lose their shape, and they hit exactly where you're supposed to on your thigh, whether you're working, traveling, or working out, or just hanging out at home, perhaps. These actually feel better than anything you've used before. I also didn't expect the underwear to be an actual game changer, but SKIMS actually completely surprised me in that area. You can shop right now at SKIMS Men's. It's skims.com. When you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select the archer from the menu that actually arrives to let them know that we sent you to them. Plus, the SKIMS holiday shop is open right now, so if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, SKIMS absolutely has you covered. Check it out now at skims.com. The NBA is here. The best place to get in the mix right now is FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you actually missed the start of the game, perhaps, or you just want to ride the hot hand during the game, FanDuel has live bets on everything you can actually imagine when it comes to which team's going to score next or comebacks in the fourth quarter. Live bets all the way across the board and much more. Plus, if you want to, you can combine your bets together into a single parlay for a shot at a bigger payout at FanDuel. On top of that, they have all kinds of bet types across the board, from point spreads to over-unders, money lines, game props, player props, future bets, and so much more. And they have all the sports that you love as well, all in one place. That includes the NBA, which we talk about all the time on this podcast, plus the NFL, college football, college basketball. They have baseball, hockey, soccer, both domestic and international leagues. They have golf, tennis, NASCAR, F1, boxing, MMA, and so much more. Plus, FanDuel's really easy to use as well, and they're fast to pay out when you win at FanDuel, and they keep every single game more exciting, especially when your team's making that big comeback late in the game. And right now, FanDuel is offering new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins at FanDuel. So head right now to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Before we do that, we should talk about Darren Peterson a little bit. Unfortunately, he's currently injured. I think
he's been having it was first diagnosed as a cramping issue, and now it's a calf thing. I think he's just got a low-level calf strain that they didn't properly diagnose because he probably was lying about how much it was bothering him, and they're just sitting him.
It's typical college basketball fashion. Bill Self gave like the most cryptic possible response to a question to just like, hey, why don't you just say he's not healthy? Like, you can just say it was like, we don't know what, I don't know. I can't remember what he said, but it was like, Bill, we don't have to do this, man. Can we just get, it's okay.
I think he literally is day to day, which is usually not a misnomer. Like that day to day means this guy, we'll see how this guy feels in a week usually.
Yeah.
But I think they literally are like, well, maybe it'll be loosened up tomorrow. You just don't, we've had so much recent evidence of guys with calf strains making that worse.
Muscle injuries at all. I mean, there's kind of like a hard and fast NBA rule, pretty much, that if a guy leaves a game with a muscle injury, it's usually like at least 10 days, 2 weeks. Like no one comes back in, and no one like keeps playing because it's not worth it. Like you don't want to risk it with muscle stuff, especially when you're potential number one overall,
especially
pick.
in November.
Yeah. I mean, and he's also, unfortunately, Peterson's like kind of, the sun and the moon for Kansas. It's kind of a weird Kansas
Yeah.
setup this year where he's like
Yeah.
the guy by a lot. But anyway, independent of that, everyone seems to love Peterson. I am in that group a lot. I quite appreciate him. I think he's going to be really, really good.
He's the best defender of this three-man group easily.
I
He's
agree.
at least on the perimeter, he is a terror, and he's the most prolific shooter. He didn't even really get to show. I think that you could tell. That's how you can tell his leg was bothering him. He didn't really get into the paint that much in the games he played. He just settled for pull-ups. Thankfully, he's an incredibly good shooter. Like so.
I know you're going to have this answer because I know you and you're a sicko. That everyone keeps asking, like, he's the best American guard prospect since when? What's your answer?
It's probably at least it's Cade or before.
If it's not Cade, how far do you go back before that?
I don't know.
A while.
It's a while, yeah. I think like 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
Fultz in November 2016 was probably.
That's true. Like the actual people have forgotten that Fultz was
a super prospect.
It just didn't obviously happen for him.
And then 2014, 2013.
Yeah, I mean, I had somebody
Lillard
tell
was
me,
not considered that level prospect. But
no, he was a multiple year guy. We were State. Like, no, I had somebody tell me that they had an NBA person who works for a team that their system or whatever that was has Peterson as the best prospect since Derrick Rose. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, all right, that's not unreasonable. I mean, that's
I have a physical comp for him that is maybe a little bit forbidden that I kind of like because I think he's sinewy in the way that Clyde Drexler was.
Ooh.
Where he doesn't look like he weighs 210, but he does. And he has that kind of casual, the gliding movement. Clyde the Glide. Because people compared Peterson to Jordan, kind of jokingly. Just because I think it's more just because his the facial expressions he makes, the way he gets down and guards people, and the
general size and all.
Yeah, well, he's got a signature. He's got the signature. He was wearing the Jordan calf sleeve for a while. Now he's got his signature armband. I think people were doing that kind of as a bit. I think he's more Clyde.
Didn't he measure it? 6'6" or so, and he's got like kind of the prototypical old school shooting guard measurements.
Yeah, he's the best. That's the way. I'm not going to compare him to Jordan, but he's the best Jordan type two guard. You remember the Jason Richardson, Vince Carter guy?
Yeah, everyone was the next Jordan for a while. Yeah,
he's the best one of those
since
Jason Richardson. Like it's been a long time. He's since Kobe.
And actually, the question I was going to ask you beyond all of that is like, is he going to be just like in the modern NBA? Is he just going to be the de facto point guard on whatever team he's on?
I think so. Yep. Harden style, where he's just guarding twos.
Because I mean, you hear like Anthony Edwards, and Ant's played more and more in that role, kind of as he's gone along. That's Booker. The most recent like shooting guard kind of prospect like this is Anthony Edwards, probably.
Booker plays that role a lot.
Yeah, but that was my response to somebody that asked me that the other day, and I was like, well, obviously the majority of, if you're like a prototypical number one, you're supposed to be like, you're just going to be the point guard, like not always, but like you're going to have the ball a lot. And I mean, there's a debate about what kind of player you want next to that player. You don't necessarily need a high usage point, like small point guard next to Darren. You probably wouldn't want that.
You don't want the De'Aaron Fox type, but you might want. I mean, you put like, I don't know, thinking like, there's like a prolific spot, like a prime Mike Conley next to that player.
Well, and just to say, I mean, I know that when we're recording this, there's the whole other discussion about whether the Hawks are better with Trae Young or not, which I'm not going to have with you. But I will say,
I've only watched the one game, so I can't really have an opinion on it.
That's fine. I will say though, let's just say the Hawks via the Pelicans won the lottery, and they evaluated Darren Peterson as the guy to take. I don't think you would want long term in a vacuum. You would not necessarily pick Trae Young to play next to Darren Peterson.
Yeah, I think the issue with that from a team building perspective is that every other NBA team would also know that. So I don't know.
Well, yes, I'm just
trade. Yeah,
that's just one of those questions I get sometimes. I would say more so before this recent Hawks run of like, hey, what happens if they like Peterson the best? And like for me, the answer is almost always going to be just take the guy you think is the best player.
Yeah.
At number one overall, that's what it should be.
Yep.
the rare exception would be like if it is a star level player. But like, let's just say if this was 5 years ago and it was that version of Trae Young who was 22 and was your guy, like then you think about it a little bit more. But now at 27 on an expiring contract, you probably just take Darren Peterson and move on and figure it out. But anyway, I'm intrigued. I love Darren Peterson. I really do. Like, I think he is going to be very, very good at basketball.
I think it's hard to be so declarative, and part of it, I mean, I've been making these comps of Hall of Famers, which I always say not to do. This is the type of guy you do that for, because these are the kinds of guys who just profile as like, if things bounce, their 75th percentile outcomes are like all NBA players.
And that's a good differentiator. Like, I know you have your tier system.
At least like third tier, like where Cade's at now, like a guy who could easily make an All-NBA team and no one would think it was strange.
Well, that's the thing about, Cade's a good example because for a little while early in Cade's career, people were like mad at people like you and me that had been like super in on Cade. And like, I understood that to some degree, but also the argument for Cade was like, hey, even if he doesn't hit his ceiling, he's going to be good. And there was like no doubt about that. And that's what happened for a while. And now he's kind of reaching in that like top 10-ish player in the league kind of territory, which is where he was supposed to hopefully be. But yeah, with Peterson in particular, I mean, I think it's probably applies to the other two guys as well. Nobody's short of like LeBron and Wemby is like a lock to be first team All NBA. But like, if you're like median projection is All Star, that's usually a pretty darn good.
I would say All Star. Like, I don't see how any of the three of them aren't at least max contract guys. Like second contract max guys.
And that's game changing. I mean, obviously this is a Hawks podcast, even though we talk about the draft when you come on. And I've been doing kind of a bit where I'm like almost tracking the Pelicans on social media. And people are like, why did you, and it's not really something I would normally do, but like my point is always, guys, this is a rare situation where it's an unprotected pick on a team that's not very good. And like the real reason is these guys are such good prospects that like it could be a franchise changing endeavor if things break a certain way for the Hawks. So like, that's why I'm tracking it the way that I am. Because these three guys are like, not a guarantee to be changing your franchise, but they certainly are capable of doing that. And the fact that there are three of them, like you don't even have to win the lottery. You can get the third pick this year and you feel pretty
good. If the Hawks get the third pick and Boozer's there, you take Boozer and like your outlook's just changed.
Yeah, you figure it out. I mean, that's why I want to
maybe Okongwu and Jalen's minutes get weird. I don't know.
I mean, that's something that we'll talk about a lot more if we need to in June, July, etc.
Boozer turns 19 years old in July 2026.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
He would be probably the trickiest quote unquote fit, but I just don't care. If he's the best player, you take him. It doesn't matter.
And the only way you might get if you get like a Godfather offer from like the Thunder or something.
Like, I mean, there's
4 first. But okay,
and even then, like you probably don't even do it because these are the kind of guys.
Depends on the first. We
can leave it here, but these are the kind of guys that you don't trade. I mean, there's certain draft picks where like organizationally you just can't trade them. Like Cooper Flag was one of those last year. Like Dallas is not even going to pick up the phone. They're just not going to do it. It's like, all right, we're hanging up the phone. That's the top three, and they are let's just say an impressive trio. All right, that is all for part 1 of this 2-part chat with myself and Brian Schroeder. Please go ahead and subscribe to Locked On Hawks anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. Follow the show on X/Twitter at Locked On Hawks. Follow me there at BT Rowland. Follow me on Blue Sky if you'd like to at BT Rowland. And then follow my non-podcast coverage of the Hawks at patreon.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, part 2 available in the same podcast feed right now. So please stay tuned for that. And we'll see you all next time.